How you doing? Let's get this show on the road, huh?
This week on Hooligan Nation, Father Rocco wants me to sound excited. So this is my excited voice. Axel, Slash, Duff, Izzy, and Adler. Need I say more? This is another can't miss episode of the Hooligan Nation. But this week, we go centric in a completely different way. So you got?
Nothing to lose.
You got.
Nothing to lose.
You got nothing.
You wanted the best. Well, they retired. So you got two dudes in a garage.
Talking Kiss.
Welcome back to Hooligan Nation, a Kiss-Centric podcast, and welcome to our jungle. I'm Anthony.
I'm Rocco.
Yes, you are.
I am.
You are him.
Yes, I am.
And you're him. You're both. Action-packed. One of a kind. This one is going to break YouTube.
I've been looking forward to this one.
Absolutely. Today, we're going centric. We have to justify that word centric. So every once in a while, we have to go centric. This week, we go Kiss-Centric by reviewing the Guns N' Roses album, Appetite for Destruction. For those that don't know, you may wonder, why is that Kiss-Centric? We're going to explain during this episode. So there's going to be nuggets and tidbits for all the little kiddies out there that like nuggets and tidbits. But first, you have anything you'd like to add from our last episode that we spoke about Kiss concert attendance through the years?
It was interesting because, the overall take of that was, it was interesting because I always think of big numbers with Kiss because I've never seen a show that wasn't packed, and the numbers told you different through different parts of the country because you only look at it from your perspective. You know what I mean?
Absolutely mind-blowing numbers, well under what I expected them to be, and well under any. So I do not have an absolute hardline number, but I've seen Kiss between 25 and 30 times. I have never been to a Kiss show that wasn't at least 75% at capacity, or at least looked like it was 75% at capacity. And the numbers show that was not the case for the rest of the world. News. You got any news?
I do.
Oh, cool. You're gonna contribute this week?
I think so, yeah. I got
Thanks a lot.
No problem. I try to throw what I can. Or throw what I can. Anyway, so this Kiss news comes from kissonline.com. It's a story by Ken Sharp. On May 20th, 2025, it went out. The title of it is Unmasked, A Fan's Journey. 17-year-old Bernd Manson in 1979, in accordance to Acoin Management, provided authorization for Bernd Manson, 17-year-old, to run the Kiss Army Sweden. He got backstage access, wild stories, and was also the reason that I feel it noteworthy after reading the article. It was also the rise of Eric Carr. The band introduced new drummer Eric Carr at one of the Kiss one-off shows, U.S. shows, on July 25th, 1980, at the Palladium in New York City. It's a very interesting article. There's a lot of meat and potatoes there, and I found it interesting. It deals with the Kiss Army, in Sweden, and I kind of fell into it looking for news. And it was a really interesting article. I definitely recommend it.
That makes me think of something. Dan the Man, if you're out there and you're watching or listening, was there a Kiss Army Australia at the time?
Ooh, good question.
Hey,
Spain too. Victor, let us know.
Yeah, well, but Victor wouldn't have been there at the time, but he might know. But more along the lines of Australia, just because they pretty much turned the entire country upside down.
Yeah, that's a good question to ask.
And if there wasn't a Kiss Army, how long did it take after they turned the place upside down for there to be a Kiss Army? Because I'm sure Gene and Paul landed on the airplane in Australia and looked over at the business people and said, we need to have a official Australian Kiss Army here because there's money to be made here. All right, I got something a little off the beaten path,
Cool.
but also surprisingly Kiss-centric that I think will especially blow your mind, Little Rocky.
Oh, what do you got?
And it'll probably blow Father Rocco's mind also. Thank you. Yngwie Malmsteen, in a Blabbermouth interview from June 3rd, 2025, legendary Swedish guitarist spoke about some of the offers he had received over the years to join established bands or collaborate with well-known musicians. He said, "Well, it depends on how you mean. When I first came to the States, I was offered to join UFO. And then on the same day as I offered to do the UFO thing, which was a big step from my then band Steeler, I guess I got contacted by the thing that became Alcatraz. It wasn't called Alcatraz yet. They didn't have any songs, nothing. I wrote all the songs and I chose that situation because I wanted to write songs instead of just as much as I like UFO, I didn't want to be stepping into someone else's thing. I was asked to join David Lee Roth's band. What happened was that he was leaving or left already. Van Halen and I was doing a big American tour with AC/DC, and then right after that, I did my own tour of America with a band called Dallas opening up, which was Billy Sheehan's band. Man, Billy Sheehan comes up every day. And Dave would come to the show all the time. Plus, we would hang out too at the Troubadour and stuff back in the party days. And it would have been a great thing. But I think that, he obviously asked Billy Sheehan too, so Billy took it. And it wasn't officially on a paper like this or something like this, but it was very obvious that he was thinking about. And at the time, I was thinking, oh no, I'm doing great, whatever. Shocking part, very early on, I was offered to join Kiss. But that was very short-lived because they called me when I was still in Sweden in 1982 because my tape had been circulating. In a separate interview with Classic Rock magazine, Yngwie stated about Roth's Van Halen bandmate, iconic guitarist Eddie Van Halen, "I never said a bad word about him. I never will, because I think he was amazing. But I used to know a guy that worked in the grocery store where Eddie would shop, and the guy would ask him, 'Hey, what do you think about Yngwie Malmsteen, the new Swedish kid?' And Eddie would say, 'I don't know who that is.' Meanwhile, Dave Roth told me that Eddie would have the ghetto blaster playing my shit on it all day long."
Huh.
According to Yngwie, Eddie even ignored him when the both attended the Grammy Awards in 1986. At the time, Malmsteen was nominated in the Best Rock Instrumental Performance category for his album Rising Force. Yngwie stated, "I go to the show, I had my tux on and everything, and I see Eddie there. I'm waving at him, trying to get his attention, and he sees me and he runs away. He literally ran away."
Wow.
Malmsteen went on to suggest that Van Halen was so threatened by him that he pulled out of a scheduled Van Halen show in the Netherlands where the two guitarists would have finally shared the stage. Yngwie states, "I was doing a concert festival in Holland and Van Halen were headlining. I'm like, great, I finally get to meet Eddie, but I find out that they canceled the show. They said Alex Van Halen had broken his little finger or something. And then I hear that the promoter got a phone call from Eddie himself who said, 'Just to let you know, if Yngwie Malmsteen is playing, I'm not playing. And I will never effing play the same stage as Yngwie Malmsteen.'" I'm like, what? He obviously felt threatened, which is crazy to me. You're effing Eddie Van Halen. No
Right.
one could threaten you.
Wow. Good work on
So-
you. This is interesting.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I can read, folks.
That was
I can
good.
read. Reading is
Interesting that one.
fundamental.
I know one thing about Eddie Van Halen. He's a very temperamental guy. So that must have played into those modes right there where he's, you know, maybe he,
Ju-
like you said, he was definitely, it sounds like he was intimidated by Ingve.
just like the segment that we just recorded about Paul Stanley, it blows my mind. Acting like that is so beneath the legend of Eddie Van Halen. I'm going to say this, and it's probably going to be one of those comments that may get me killed. But hey, that's what I'm here for. You can give me Jimmy Page, Jimi Hendrix, Randy Rhoads, Dimebag, Ace, whoever I may left out. None of them can even carry Eddie Van Halen's guitar pick, in my opinion.
You know what's
They're all great.
you
They're
know what's
all great. And I left
right.
out other great guitar players. Eddie was different.
What's kind of interesting, and being that I'm a guitar player, it's something I pay attention to. The amount of like incredible guitar players that when they got to a certain level, they had to master eruption. They had to. Shows another example of that being of Eddie being the bar because eruption was like a uh, a mountain to climb for a lot of incredibly great guitar players.
Music we're listening to.
I have one band and two albums that I've been kind of dabbling in. Judas Priest, the two albums, Rock and Rolla and Defenders of the Faith, which is like my favorite album of theirs. Also, the next one on the list is going to be Screaming for Vengeance. So I'm kind of like in a Judas Priest kind of kick right now. So the first album, Rock and Rolla, that was celebrated last year, 50th anniversary in 2024. It was their debut album in 1974. And it was interesting to go back listening to that because I have listened to it before. And it was more like they got heavier and heavier as the years went on. But that was kind of like a hard rock album. If you listen to it, it almost kind of reminded me a little bit, not to that level, but not, and that's kind of like the Rolling Stones a little bit. They were definitely a little bit tamer when that first album came out.
Little Rocky, you ready for our favorite part of our podcast?
Hit it. I'm ready.
Time for the Hooligan Nation weekly poll. And I think it's another good one personally. And I do think it was your idea, actually. So this week's poll question, which by the way, have to do this every week in case anybody wonders. You can find our weekly poll posted on our community tab on YouTube and also in our Facebook group. If you're not a member of our Facebook group, it is the Hooligan Nation, a Kiss-Centric podcast group. It is free to join. We're having lots of fun over there with polls and pictures and
Comments and
and
a lot of cool stuff is sent over pictures wise from Kiss and all kinds of stuff too. So
if that interests you, slide over there. It's another way for you to vote. And if you choose not to, you can still go to our community tab and you can vote there. It
you can
is,
also post things that you're interested in seeing future Kiss episodes. You can, ideas. You're a hooligan, so your opinions matter.
and it is your part to contribute to the show, which is part of the reason why this is my favorite part. The question was, what's the best Kiss makeup design? Father Rocco, what say you? Thank you.
I mean, I cannot be the demon. To me, he was the most recognizable makeup design out of all four. His
Very good.
personality was the loudest. You know what I mean? Like that character itself, it was the loudest character out of all of them when you think about attention and stuff.
Now, I have to say, before anybody complains, if you're going to complain, send it to our complaint department. That's him, just so you
I'm
know.
partial too. He's my favorite member, so I am a little partial.
No. What I was going to say was on the Facebook poll, we can only put 4 multiple choices. On the community tab, I think you can put 7. We ended up putting 5 on the community tab. The The fifth option was Eric Carr / Vinny Vincent. And we could not put that on the Facebook poll because they won't allow you put any more than 4. So the least amount of votes, not shocking, was for Eric and Vinny. That got 1% of the votes. The next one was a little shocking to me. Paul came in second to last with 7% of the votes. Next was Ace, who came in with 24%. Then Peter, that came in with 27%. They were about where I figured they would be, close to each other. And Gene came in at number 1 with 41% of the votes. Not a shock at all. I think
No,
the
the makeup,
Kiss and makeup, Gene was the face.
but member, it may be Ace. Ace may be the most popular member
Well, according
all the
to
time.
the official Hooligan Nation poll, and we didn't ask who was the most popular member, we asked who had the best makeup design.
All right.
And personally, I voted for Peter,
No, it's not a shocker.
but I can definitely understand why Gene gets the majority of the love here. It is probably the most iconic face paint that ever came across Kiss, I would say. Vinny is not in the running for that with his little Anki Warrior.
Anki Warrior.
Yeah. So for everybody that voted, thank you very much. As I say every week, like a broken record that I am, there currently is a poll up right now. So if you haven't voted, please slide over there and vote. No, I don't know what the poll is because we film a couple weeks ahead of time and I can't walk and chew gum at the same time because all I do is edit videos for this podcast. So thank you all for voting and vote.
Vote, vote, vote. You're right.
It's your right. All right, Little Rocky. Are we ready to get to our main topic?
Let's do it.
We are going centric this week. How, you may be wondering? Well, we are going to review one of the greatest, yes, I said greatest, single albums ever created, in my opinion at least.
My opinion too, and a lot of others.
Guns N' Roses' Appetite for Destruction. Oh, hell yeah! Appetite for Destruction was released July 21st, 1987. It is 53 minutes and 52 seconds long. It was released by Geffen Records. The producer was Mike Klink. And there were 5 singles released for this album. The first mind-blowing moment. The first single released on June 8th, 1987 was It's So Easy and Mr. Brownstone. Probably not the greatest choices. On September 21st, 1987, they released Welcome to the Jungle as the second single. On June 3rd, 1988, they released Sweet Child of Mine as the third single. On January 1989, they released Paradise City. And then on July 1989, they released Night Train. Album cover. Here's a little nugget and tidbit, unless you're a diehard Guns N' Roses fan. The album cover that everybody knows is not the first album cover. The first album cover was artwork. The album's original cover art was based on Robert Williams' painting, Appetite for Destruction. It depicted a robotic rapist about to be punished by a metal avenger. After several music retailers refused to stock the album, some Geffen executives compromised and put the controversial cover art inside, replacing it with an image depicting a Celtic cross and skulls representing each of the 5 band members. I think they were much better off with the second album cover version. By the way, if you don't know what I'm talking about, they moved that original cover art to inside, so it's still in the little CD booklet. It's just not showing on the outside. So if you've never looked in your CD, I feel people asking me what a CD is. Don't you just feel like a CD? It stands for compact disc.
Yes.
It's about yo, bit, and yo.
We're getting old.
Anyway, so there's, you know what? Forget it. If you don't know what a CD is, just Google First Appetite for Destruction album cover and you can see it there. And you know what? This was a completely stupid thing because I'll just put it up on the screen. Let's talk about videos. There were 3 music videos. My God. Let's talk about music videos. Music videos might have been more important for Appetite for Destruction than for any other album in the MTV era. So I have all kinds of nuggets and tidbits that go along with this. The first music video that was released was Welcome to the Jungle. And for those of you that don't know this, and for those of you that weren't alive at the time, Guns N' Roses did not come out and take over the world and become superstars. That album sat there for about a year and nobody played it on the radio. And surely nobody played it on MTV. David Geffen from Geffen Records, he went to executives at MTV and asked them to start playing the video. He's David Geffen, so I'm sure they negotiated, and here was the agreement. They would play it at 4 a.m. once on the weekend for a couple days. Funny enough, the first time that the video premiered at 4 a.m., I believe it was on a Sunday morning, the telephone lines at MTV went crazy asking who the band was and when they were going to play the video again. And, you know, that whooped up a fan base. And then it became demanding to play the video. That is what launched Guns N' Roses into what we all know
Very cool. It's
today.
interesting.
And then they backed that up with Sweet Child of Mine. I think Guns N' Roses, at least for Appetite for Destruction, all 3 of those videos, Welcome to the Jungle, Sweet Child of Mine, and Paradise City, were all basically performance videos, which was popular at the time. But they did something, and I don't know what it is, but they did something different in performance videos to make them stand out. Because Sweet Child of Mine is just a video of the band playing the song, but it's as iconic as any iconic music video that's ever gone out. And I think the same thing for Welcome to the Jungle and same thing for Paradise City. As of 2008, this record was 18 times platinum. So think about that. We talked about in last week's episode, Metallica's Black Album, as of 2025, was certified 20 times platinum. As of 2008, Appetite for Destruction was 18 times platinum. So if Guns N' Roses ever pays for that to be recertified, and I believe they have to pay for it, it is going to be well over 20 times platinum.
But we'll get to this too. The other thing about it, we'll definitely be talking about this too, but the way it was produced, the connection, like what do we talk about with what you call it, Jackson, with Kiss and Creatures, like the producer of Appetite for Destruction couldn't have been a better pairing with the band because they got the best out of them.
Good segue. Well, let's talk about producers because this is where it becomes a little Kiss-centric. Allegedly, Paul Stanley was considered to be the producer of this album. Yeah.
Say that again.
That's what I read.
Paul. Our Paul?
Our Paul, yes. Our little star child. Yes. But allegedly he told Axl that his voice sounds like piss. Just kidding.
Wow.
Just kidding. Just think.
It's an inside joke for us hooligans that this Howard Stern and
If you
Kiss
want to
connection
know
thing.
the inside joke, watch our Wednesday segment that aired 2 days ago, and you'll know exactly what we're talking about. See that? That's promotion and marketing right there.
There you
I
go.
like that. Anyhow, uh, look, this is what I read. I don't have Axel on speed dial. I sure as hell don't have Paul on speed dial. Wish I did. Anybody's got Axel or Paul's numbers, just drop it in the comment below. I have no problem calling them up. I won't hold my breath to get either one of those phone numbers. Axel, if you're out there watching us, or Paul Stanley, if you're out there watching us. Anyhow, supposedly he was considered to be the producer, but he wanted to change too much of Adler's drumming. So they moved on, and they moved on to Mutt Lang, and Geffen Records did not want to pay what Mutt Lang wanted because if I remember correctly, Mutt Lang was finishing up Def Leppard's Hysteria album, and I'm sure as soon as that came out, his asking price went through the roof. So they passed on Mutt Lang and they went to Mike Klink. And anybody who doesn't know who Mike Klink is, Mike Klink is famous for producing Triumph. He did an incredible job, which we'll get into more when we get to the songs. And speaking of the songs.
Okay. First, I'm going to give you my overall take of the album before I dive into the songs. I put that it is fantastically produced, like we were just talking about. He definitely got the best out of the band. They were a match made in heaven. And the other thing, stylistically, I have never in my life, I've seen whole albums change styles for bands. I've never seen an entire album like this album where every song had its own style, every song had its own vibe to it. And I think it's incredible being able to put that down on one album where the style of the songs are different. Like you hear Welcome to the Jungle, next song's nothing like it. Next song's different than that. Next song's different than that. And it's good. They're all good. That's what makes this album one that we had to do. I can go right into the first song, which is Welcome to the Jungle. It's awesome and legendary. It's a music industry game changer, that song, when the video was out. It changed the business. It's definitely a symbolic. When you see that video, it's symbolic of the time. You immediately remember where you were when you see that video. Great riff to start it. Blend of Axl's vocals and Slash's bluesy, unique style. But again, match made in heaven. There's so much you can say about Welcome to the Jungle.
Where do I even begin? Album openers to me are very important. At least for me, the first song I hear on an album really dictates whether it's going to get me excited to listen to the rest of the album or whether it's going to be work to listen to the rest of the album. This may be the greatest album opener ever. The guitar, the scream, the opening lyric, Welcome to the Jungle, we got fun and games. This song just kicks you in the nuts and then keeps kicking you while you're down. We have to address the video at the same time as the song, as it was my introduction to the Top Hat and the dirty, sleazy looking gang that was Guns N' Roses.
Yeah.
They all had their different looks in a time that almost every band member in every band looked the same. They almost had characters, like another band I'm familiar with.
Yeah.
They were different. They were
Yep.
something I had never seen. Like Kiss,
Yep.
but different. In the middle of hair metal, here comes something much different, scary, aggressive. They just came from a completely different world almost. And it did not come across at all as an act.
Right.
It was who they were. And
Right.
and if you want to know what an act looks like, just go back to like the Asylum record and look at Gene Simmons with rouge on and like fake eyelashes. That's what an act looks like. Slash, Axel, Izzy, Adler, Duff, they all had their own look. They all had their own attitude, and none of them looked like they had had a bath in the last 10, 15 days.
All right, so the next song is "It's So Easy," co-wrote with West Arkeen. It starts with a bass riff. Again, completely different than "Welcome to the Jungle." Those two songs next to each other aren't even recognizable together. Noticeably different than the first song. And after listening to this song and doing a review, immediately I started thinking to myself, was that a concerted effort to make every song different? It's really got a different flavor. It's almost like a different flavor of ice cream. Every single song's different. But It's So Easy's got a nice groove. It hooks you and it keeps you in throughout the entire song. Really good groove.
So I go out, I run out and buy the album, and I put it on, and I remember this like it was yesterday, and I listen to Welcome to the Jungle. And then I get to the second song, It's So Easy. My first thought, oh shit, they have two lead singers. Axel has like 12 voices, it seems. In a time when everyone else was singing about women and partying, Guns were talking about beating you up and taking your girl. This song is one of those songs that takes you on a roller coaster ride. And I literally listened to the whole song and thought they had two lead singers, which, by the way, if you weren't Kiss, was kind of unheard of at the time.
Right.
It took probably 3 or 4 more songs for me to figure out Axel's got some serious range, more range than everyone else, I think. Actually, I think there's an article out there somewhere that Axl Rose is considered to have more range than Mariah Carey and Whitney Houston. Let that one sink in.
All right, next song is Night Train. A cool blend of riff with drums and vocals to start. It's another just great groove. I'm going to keep going back to the reoccurring theme. Every song is different. Every song is great. Every song, you know what I mean? So, again, a great groove. I love the tone of the song. I love the chorus of the song. It's another great song.
All right, Father Rocco. Let's see how well you know me. Night Train. What's the first 2 words that are going to come out of my mouth? Cowbell.
Oh, yeah, it fits really good. I should have gotten that. It fits in there really good.
Cowbell, energy, anger, Slash and Izzy's guitar work, Adler and Duff blowing shit up with the rhythm section. Geez, by song number 3, you have to be out of breath.
Can I make a quick statement about you?
Yeah.
What you don't like about the orchestra, you love about the cowbell.
Oh, I love a cowbell. I love a cowbell. I'm on record as saying I love cowbells. I don't think any band has ever used the cowbell so much on a record, and it fit so well on a record.
Yeah.
And it's not just cowbells. If you really, like, we were discussing this earlier off camera, and for everyone that listens or watches us, we have come to the conclusion that when you have to review an album for the public, for you guys, and you actually want people to watch and listen to your podcast, you have to listen to it at a different level than maybe you ever have before in your life. I'm someone that had always listened to music for enjoyment, you know, driving, chilling, at the gym. It was always secondary for the most part. When you have to review an album, we have to jump in neck deep. And when you do that, you hear all the different sounds. The different sounds when they're made, when a band makes them, different vocal ranges, different guitar sounds, different drum sounds. the cowbell, we're gonna get to Paradise City. A whistle. I've never heard a whistle put in a song that more fit the song than in Paradise City.
Which goes into production, right?
The whistle is an iconic moment in Paradise City.
Yeah.
Just like Adler hits that cowbell, and it's an iconic moment in this song. If you listen to Night Train and you take the cowbell out, changes the whole song.
It does.
If you listen to Paradise City and there is no whistle telling you to start sprinting, it's a completely different song.
The next song is Out to Get Me. Great build up into an awesome riff. I really like the vocals an awful lot on this. And aggressive storytelling, which storytelling is another thing. When you dive in like we have with this, you realize that every single song they have is telling you a story. They had something to say at the time too. Like there's a lot of bands that just find a subject and sing about it and it doesn't have a lot of substance to it. Like every song that they had, lyrics have some meaning to it. Maybe it's not the best meanings in the world on some of them, but I mean, they're good stories. They're story. This band it doesn't really get talked about. This band, at least with this album, were very good storytellers.
For Out to Get Me, Slash and Izzy introduced the world to guitar sounds that we have never heard of before. Axl introduced us to range that no one else had or has had since. This is the most original sounding band to this day that I've ever heard. I agree with you 100% with the storytelling. The storytelling will come up at least 2 or 3 more times.
Right.
If you take the music out and you read the lyrics, it's a story. But I don't think you can say that for a lot of other bands. Bands, they go out of their way to make things rhyme. It don't always have to make sense. And I'm sure most songs have some kind of story base. In Guns N' Roses, at least for Appetite for Destruction, they completely tell the story musically.
This album is the perfect storm because it feels like to me, after reviewing it, that everything went right in making this album. Production, the collaboration, lyrics, making every song different than the other. Like it's also not only is it do they stand out as original, the album itself, the whole structure of the way the album is structured is very unique because I don't think I can think of another band in my lifetime where bands have like Kiss put out a grunge album. The whole album was grunge. I don't think I've ever seen an album where, and this I'll give props to Guns N' Roses for life on this, where every song was maybe not different genre, but every song was different. It's a reoccurring theme, and every song is good. Some bands will do other songs that try to stretch them and put them a little different, and it's not good. Like every time they did something different on each track is good.
If I was to make a Mount Rushmore of albums, Appetite for Destruction has to be up there.
I kind of agree with you. They're not my favorite band. They're far from being my favorite band. I love Slash and I love Appetite for Destruction. But I can't argue with what you just said there.
The point that I'm trying to make is if David Geffen doesn't go to MTV and MTV doesn't play that video at 4 a.m. on a Sunday morning, they were getting no radio airplay at the time. Do we even know who Guns N' Roses is right now?
So our next song is Mr. Brownstone, another one of my favorites of theirs. Really cool tune. The vocal roller coaster from Axl. Impressive vocal, just impressive. I can go back and forth with Axl and say that a bunch of times for even some of the music that he did after Appetite. I admire his vocal range and what he can do. On this song, Mr. Brownstone, the bridge and chorus combo is perfectly produced and it's awesome. Which that's the part that makes it one of my favorite.
It's an incredibly well-written song. Axl is storytelling. The guitars in the beginning are amazing, but also throughout the entire song. The guitar solo is fantastic. Say what you want about Axl's antics and attitude, but his range is second to none. And I mean none.
Yeah, you'd almost think that, like, because of his attitude issues and things like that, I don't think he'll ever get the due that he deserves. Because to me, he's right there. And this may be blasphemy. A lot of people may not like it. To me, he's right there, Robert Plant. I don't think Axl ever got the credit for that. And I'm not a fan of Axl, but what his abilities and what he's able to do vocally, I put him there with any of the best singers ever.
Let's not kick Paul Stanley around. Paul Stanley had great
I'm with
range
you.
also.
I'm with you.
No one has the range that Axl has. I mean, he can go from the lowest of the low to the highest of the high. It never sounds like he's struggling or forcing it. There's a couple Kiss albums out there where you can tell Paul Stanley is forcing his range. And the same could be said, again, in my opinion, about Robert Plant, where he's forcing it.
Well,
Nothing ever sounds forceful.
the next song is very, very centric to me. This is a very centric type of song to me.
Oh,
Because to me, Paradise City is an anthem for Guns N' Roses.
oh,
Like I did that.
yeah.
It's like an anthem. I said a great produced song. Slash owns it. Great guitar work. The riff really grabs you throughout the song. And Paradise City is another one of those songs. There are some songs, I don't know if you're always like this too. There are some songs that play and it brings me back to a time in my life when I was younger where it's good memories, like hanging in my convertible with a bunch of people listening to tunes. I mean, Paradise City, you can almost kind of use Paradise City as not the only, but an anthem for the 80s. You know what I mean? It's that kind of powerful song.
I would argue that Welcome to the Jungle, Sweet Child of Mine, and Paradise City are all equal in that statement.
Yeah, I mean, that's another credit to this album.
And the only reason why I picked those three is because those three caught fire, let's say.
Very true.
Because they were pushed out as singles and music videos for the time. Paradise City, both iconic and legendary. The drums, the guitars, the layered vocals in the beginning. Shit, the whistle. Guns N' Roses and Mike Klink raised the bar on this entire album, adding cowbells, whistles, exterior tracks, and sounds made from a guitar that I had never heard before and haven't heard since. They're like little Easter eggs within the songs. And the ending is just frantic. Frantic in a good way. All of the sounds, the whistle, the cowbell, the different sounds that are made with the guitars, they almost come across as little Easter eggs in the songs that you go, what was that? Was that a guitar? Can a guitar make that sound?
Well, it's
You know what I'm saying?
Well, it's wild to think that the producer's in there, he's hearing the song, and obviously you don't know where it came from, but he's like, you know what, a cowbell would work there. You know what, a whistle would work. To me, it's amazing that there's amazing producers out there that can actually find those parts, those little nuggets that you gotta add.
Dude, for someone like me who has no musical ability, I can't play an instrument, I can't sing, I know nothing about the recording industry at all other than what I watch or read. How a guy sits there and goes, you know what we need? We need a whistle. It is just ingenious to me. Whoever it is. Like, there's no guarantee that. Well, it would be the first question I would probably ask Mike Klink if we ever got him on here is, hey, whose idea was the whistle? Because a cowbell is different.
Right.
It's on the drum set.
Right.
So I think it's different. But for somebody in the recording process to say, hey, we need a whistle here, it is just mind-blowing to
Yeah,
me.
and I'm sure that there's things like Bob Ezrin, like some weird things that they try that don't work. But this definitely worked on this album. Everything worked on this
Every
album.
weird thing that they tried on this album worked to perfection. And if you removed it, it would change the entire record.
Absolutely. 150%.
That's just mind blowing to me.
Which will bring us to the number 7 song, My Michelle. Very eerie beginning and very cool. Then bam, it hits you with cool drum guitar blend. There's a great bridge and chorus flow, and the riff carries the song, is really cool. Again, it's got a different vibe and a different feel and a great groove.
You could take every one of these songs, split them up, put them at the top of 12 different lists, listen to the song, and write an entire record around that song, and could make 12 different records out of one record. If that makes any sense to
It
anybody.
makes sense, but unfortunately, I mean, we've talked about this. When we, as a podcast, me and you go into the weeds where all of a sudden we end up somewhere and we don't know how the hell we got there. Guns N' Roses was guilty of that after this album. I feel like they kept on trying to find that magic, and they made a few good songs. And I didn't really like any real complete album after this album of theirs. I like a lot of songs that they did.
Axl's eccentric.
Yeah, they didn't come close really to coming close to this album after this.
But My Michelle, such a slow, calm beginning, and then boom, another great song driven by the guitars, the storytelling lyrics, and Axl's screeching voice that conveys all of his angst. It's just another great song.
Well said.
I mean, I could keep going for days, but what's the point? It's just another great song.
And that leads us to the 8th song, Think About You. Another great groove, lyrics, and I keep coming back. There's a lot of these songs I write storyteller, because another great story. What's interesting is a lot of times I'll listen to something and I'm into the guitaring part of it, and I'm not paying attention too much to the lyrics. The other thing about these songs is you pay attention to the story. For some reason, when you listen to it, you kind of like catch on to what the story is. Not all music really makes it stand out, but doing this review, you pay attention to every story that there is. So I got a newfound respect for the album on the storytelling aspect of it.
Some writers, I think, are better storytellers than other writers. And in the case of Guns N' Roses on this album, I can't think of any album that did a better job telling stories than on this one.
It's fascinating too, because we looked at it, right? The co-writing and all that stuff. For the most part, a lot of this is just GNR, right?
Mhm.
Just their. So to me, the things that I think about is they made such a perfect album. I would love to be a fly on the wall and listen and watch how they collaborated to make this album. This is one of those albums that if I go back in time and I'd want to see the process that made this album, I would pick this album to go back and watch how they put it together.
And Guns had the ability to jump from hard rock to heavy metal to punk to funk. Axl could sing it all, and Slash and Izzy could dial the guitars up and down when needed. Think About You is just a great song to slow things down a little and show their range. It's almost like an all-star album.
Yeah.
Like they're showing all of their abilities.
So the next song, I have a big thing in bold here. I Don't Care. And what I mean by I don't care is Sweet Child of Mine. Completely overplayed, and I don't care because I love this song. I love everything about this song. Legendary riff and guitar work on this song. Axl, vocal acrobat. I love everything about the song. Again, my biggest statement is it's overplayed, right? I never get tired of this song, and I don't care. I put this song right there with Dream On from Aerosmith.
Again, I agree with you 100%. It is an absolutely overplayed song, and I don't care either. For anyone that's watching or listening to us and thought when the song came up, oh, that song is so overplayed, I want you to think, Why do you think it's overplayed? It's that good. That's why it's overplayed. Same could be said for Rock and Roll All Night. It's overplayed,
Yeah,
but there's a
comparison.
reason why it's overplayed.
All right.
What exactly can any of us humans say about this song? Because this is beyond human capability, in my opinion. It has to have the most iconic, yes, I said it, the most iconic guitar opening ever. I would say the guitars throughout are maybe the most iconic ever. You put 3 seconds of this song on at any part, and everyone knows who it is and what it is and what song it is.
Mm,
This has to be on, one more time with the Mount Rushmore. This has to be on the Mount Rushmore for songs to me.
yeah. I
The
agree with
song
that.
is a roller coaster with twists and turns everywhere. And on top of that, they made a music video and somehow turned a performance video that everyone was doing into something completely unforgettable.
The next song is You're Crazy. Aggressive, high energy, cool groove, great solo. Again, it's another great song, you know.
Yeah, you're starting to feel like a broken record.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. Look, this song is frantic from the start. This is where the punk comes out the most for me.
You
It's
nailed
a
it.
good
Yep.
song. It's a great song, but it's probably my least favorite on the album. It is. I mean,
This is a mood song. This song is a mood song.
and not everything can be the greatest song on the album, and shit, 8 of them probably are.
So the next song we have Anything Goes. Chris Webber helped and co-wrote with them on this. Cool intro, kind of a shuffle feel into a wicked cool riff and a very bluesy groove. My biggest note I have on exclamation points, I'm digging it. I really like this song.
Are you ready, Father Rocco?
I'm ready. Bring it.
Time for people to think I'm crazy again. Okay, folks, I think this song kind of has a a country twang to it. Once they get to the solos, I've completely forgotten about the twang, and it's another different range for them.
Again, a very unique song though. Like none of the other songs are anywhere like it. It's, you know,
Oh, there's no doubt about that. I mean, I think I agree. No two songs on this album are even similar to each other. This one might be the most out there in left field. Still great, just
different.
farther out there in left field.
All right, and that we're going to round it out with the number 12 song, Rocket Queen. Last song, but not the worst song. It's another really good song. I like the chorus, steady riff throughout the song. Again, it's another good story. He's telling you a story with a good groove behind it.
I think this is an underrated song, if that's even possible to say about a song on this album.
I can't deny that. It's a really good song.
As great as this song is, it's even better live. See their live album if you haven't heard it for proof. The better version is the live version of this.
Hmm.
The production on the vocals and the guitars elevate the song near the top, and Axl's storytelling and emotion come through the speakers. It's got a funky feel to it on top of all of that.
They killed it with the Welcome to the Jungle to start out with, and they end and they kill you too. Like it.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of production elements to this song that elevate the song. You can hear the production in Axl's voice. In the moment right now, I cannot think of an album that I've ever listened to before that is more complete than this. Now, people in the audience, and probably you, will bring up AC/DC Back in Black. I would have to re-listen to Back in Black to see if I thought it was more complete. They could bring up
Number of the Beast. It's another good one.
Number of the Beast. They could bring up probably multiple Van Halen albums. If Victor is listening to this, he jumped off his seat. He's running around like
Victor's
his
got
hair
something
is
to
on
say.
fire and he's
Yeah, Victor's
screaming,
got something to say
creatures of
for
the
sure.
night, creatures of the night.
What's up, Vic?
And I think Creatures of the Night is a very iconic, complete album. I just don't, off the top of my head, I don't believe, for my taste, that anybody has reached this level. I think it's incredibly difficult for any band to make a complete, incredible album that has 12 potentially hit songs on it. I think that's damn near impossible. I I don't think that it's a regular occurrence for any band. Any of the songs too long on this album?
Nope.
Any of these songs produced and sound not right on this album?
Nope.
Any of these songs you listen to that you don't understand what the hell the song's about?
Nope.
Any of these songs where the song's over and you go, boy, I wish he, might have added this to the guitar or that to
No.
the drum.
No, it's a very,
No,
very good listening experience going through the whole album.
right? I think the question that we should ask Hooligan Nation is there, in their opinion, is there a more complete album out there than Guns N' Roses' Appetite for Destruction? And I'm sure opinions are going to vary,
Hey, you know what?
but I'm not sure that I think there's a more complete album out there.
Hey, and hooligans, really, really think about this and put them in the comments, because if we get enough of them, we'll put a poll out. He loves the polls, and we'll get it. We'll get a nice poll out there, and we'll create it with, we get enough bands out there, and it's worthwhile. We'll he'll get a poll going.
Very good. Very good. Wow. Remind me to send you jelly beans.
I like the little ones.
The little ones?
Yeah.
Do you have a specific color that you like?
No, I just like the little ones better.
If you got a white jelly bean.
Yeah, and I can put it right in the teeth. So we'll do set list. So we're gonna do a typical set list for Guns N' Roses that year. So they start out with "It's So Easy," then "Mr. Brownstone," "Out to Get Me," "Move to the City," "You're Crazy," "My Michelle," then "Rocket Queen," "Sweet Child of Mine," "Welcome to the Jungle," "Knocking on Heaven's Door," Bob Dylan cover. I was then Encore, then "Night Train," and then they finished up with "Paradise City."
Beautiful. Beautiful. Hey, you know what's funny? Set list today ain't that much different than it was in 1988, because I think a lot of people lose sight of the fact that there isn't a lot of Guns N' Roses music out there. I mean,
It's very interesting because that it's almost in a way that album was too powerful for them to ever get past.
when you're
That makes
Guns
you-
N' Roses and you have, for the most part, especially with the first album, you put out 12 songs, and all 12 songs are could have been hit songs. I mean, that's a good start.
You know what makes me think of too? Like we compared it to the first Kiss album. Like Kiss, we said it over and over again. Kiss had a lot of time to put those songs down, and then the other albums they had to get them out quick. But it makes me curious to see how long it actually took them, and how long those songs were ready to go, before they all got produced.
I think it was different with Guns N' Roses than it was with Kiss. Axl is very eccentric. I mean, all you got to do is look at Chinese Democracy. Axl just got more eccentric and more eccentric. The goal was to never repeat anything that sounded like Appetite for Destruction. They succeeded in that. Even you put Chinese Democracy on, it doesn't sound like any other Guns N' Roses album. You put Use Your Illusion on, it doesn't sound like any other Guns N' Roses album. You put Lies on, it doesn't sound like any other Guns N' Roses album. Yeah, I'd love to bring up a stage show, but Guns N' Roses never did a crazy stage show, so what's the point? I didn't even look to tell you the truth, but I know there's Guns N' Roses live all over YouTube. Nothing really jumped out, you know. Uh, I'll just put it out here. The most interesting thing, this is probably the wrong thing to say, and people take this the wrong way, but visually, the most interesting thing to see at a Guns N' Roses show is how the hell does Slash keep that top hat on? Man, that's got to be like screwed into his cranium or something. Father Rocco, you got anything you want to add to Guns N' Roses' Appetite for Destruction?
No, this is like one of the few things where we did the centric and we like bled into off the tree into a different type of band. But we picked a good one because Guns N' Roses, this album was legendary. It may have been their only time in history where they were to this level and never were able to get back to this level again. But this album will live on forever, and it's definitely a Mount Rushmore type of album.
Look, as far as the Kiss-Centric part, I would challenge anybody that watches or listening to this or listens to this to think to themselves what it must have been like if they weren't there at the time, what it must have been like when the Kiss albums hit the racks at your local record store and you saw what was on the album cover, and then you put the album on and you started to listen to it, and no one else sounded like Kiss, for better or worse. No one else looked like them, and no one else sounded like them. I would say that Guns N' Roses did exactly the same thing in 1987. No one looked like them, and no one sounded like them. They were in a genre of their own. I have a tidbit and a nugget all rolled up in one with barbecue sauce to end this. And I'm sure that most people know this already, but we're going to go with a little bit of a visual for you. I can't tell you what year it was, but Slash tried out for Poison, and it was between Slash and CC DeVille, and CC DeVille came in with the basic riff for Talk Dirty to Me, and that was one of the reasons why Poison picked CC DeVille. So you're all confused right now. You look like little Rocco over there with, he looks like my little poodle that I don't have, looking at me like, what the hell are you talking about? So what I
Hey, what
want
the hell are you
everybody to
talking
do,
about?
yeah, like that. So what I want you all to do is close your eyes.
I have to do that too.
Yep. And imagine if Slash would have made it into Poison and what he would have looked at with a full face of makeup, with some yellow tights on,
Oh wow.
and the glam metal. Would that have been a picture to see or what?
Wow, I can't see that, man.
I don't know about any of you people out there, but that's going to give me a good laugh the rest of the night. If you're listening to us on any of the podcast platforms, please leave us a review. And if you just found us, check out our past episodes. If you're watching us on our YouTube channel and you like this episode, please consider hitting the like button, just like him, and leaving us a comment. Hit the subscribe button, just like him, so you don't miss any future episodes, and check out these episodes right up here. As always, if you made it this far, thank you for supporting us, and don't forget, welcome to the jungle. We got fun and games. If it's too loud, you're too old. Peace out, Hooligan Nation.